The Allen Perspective.
All right, welcome to Fremont. This is our home office here / studio, where we get opportunity to sit down with folks like you. So, introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I go by the name Dre the East. I'm an artist. I'm from a small town called Red Springs, North Carolina. It's down by Pembroke, Lumberton area. I've never heard of Fremont, but it reminds me a lot of my hometown. You know, it's not really much here. You make the most out of it, you know. So I'm glad you guys have me, you know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we get into. Really, we met each other, 5 minutes the other night, so
Yeah.
I don't have a clue who you are. You don't have a clue who I am, other than what little bit Warren shared with me, and then what exposure you've had by going in our shop there in Greenville. But you're an artist,
Yeah.
right? So tell us what do you practice, or what is your expertise?
So I make music for the most part. I'm self-taught. I can do just about anything. I had to learn how to do everything. So, you know, I didn't have to reach too far to do anything, you know. So my primary is music, but I know how to shoot videos. I know how to put together podcast events and stuff like that. But my primary is music. I think the biggest thing about me is expressing yourself and being 100% who you are. So music allows me to do that, and I enjoy people who do that. And music doesn't have any limits or what you can do or say in it. So it just does something different for me.
Where can we pull up so I can see like an example of what this music you got? Something?
Yeah, you got YouTube.
Yeah.
I got a song called "Happy Birthday." It's just a song. It's a song about basically feeling like nobody supports you when you're at your lower moments, like when you're nobody. But then when you get a little bit of, I guess, motion going, or when you start doing something with your life, a lot of people start supporting you, and they start acting like, you know, they've been there the entire time, which I've been familiar with because I've been high and I've came down to nothing, and then I've got it back, you know. And the low moments, it just seems like nobody's really there a lot of the times, you know.
Yeah, I can relate with that for sure.
But I tried to take it and make it a fun thing, you know. I need to slow down. It's going to kick my ass later.
It's a weak one, right?
You be all right.
So you do
Ain't
all
nobody
your
wish me
editing?
happy birthday. Ain't nobody love me.
My friend shot this one though.
Back when I first started, all I felt was hate. Well, I got fake love, and that's the worst thing. I ain't had nobody speaking up for me. Ain't nobody doing what they were saying. Everybody waited till it's too late. Well, I went up on them, but it's okay. You just gotta pay. Yes, oh love. Yes, okay. You just gotta pay. Yes, oh love. Yes, okay. You just gotta pay. Yeah. Back then you weren't fucking with me. What was up with that? Remember niggas you saying pop, but they would never come, but I ain't fuck with that. That's another story. I done bossed up. Triple times to the cost up. That shit was done for free. Now it's time to go caution. Now niggas trying to hate. Love me and love me. It's all the same. I feel like he ain't going all in the game. So I've been balling, waiting for 2K. I've been through a lot, but I'm still okay. Going through it with a smile on my face. Say you no struggle, but you no pain. He is no stranger. He know my name. Yeah, I'm Dre the East Side. I'm running shit, nigga knees high. Real nigga since knee high. All fake shit, G9. Every time nigga bleeds, my flow sharp, nigga breathe slides. Can't believe niggas out of me. Fuck them all. It's just me and money. Wish me happy birthday. Ain't nobody love me in the first place. Back when I first started, all I felt was hate. Well, I got fake love, and that's the worst thing. I ain't had nobody speaking up for me. Ain't nobody doing what they were saying. Everybody waited till it's too late. Well, I went up on them, but it's okay. You just gotta pay. Yes, oh Lord. Yes, okay. You just gotta pay. Yes, oh Lord. Yes, okay. You just gotta pay. Yeah, well, I ain't changed. Niggas lame. I ain't slowing down. You missed the way to train. Call it what you want, but you left out. And the main thing is you missed the main thing. I was putting work and you could have done the same thing. Now you got your hand out. You want a hand out. Can't you see that I'm the man now? You play your hand out. Should've helped when I was man down. Then you would stand out. I was grinding. You would stand right.
How often you catch people listening to your music?
It catches me off guard, man. I'm a very humble guy, so what I do, I just create and I try to introduce myself as a person first before anything, and people find out that I'm an artist later on. So when I find people listening to my music and stuff like that, like it makes my day. It makes me happy because they believe in a part of me that, you know what I'm saying, like at first I didn't really believe in, you know. But it happens, and they share it online. Like somebody tagged me in something the other day. They reposted a podcast that I was on, and they didn't tag me at first, but then somebody like original source. It always makes me extremely happy. So to answer your question, it happens quite often, but it never gets old to me, you know.
Like you see somebody roll past and they listening to your music.
Yeah, I've had that experience like 3 times. I haven't had that too much, but as far as like
that's a weird feeling.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Like it's like me walking through Greenville and seeing somebody wearing one of my shirts. It's like, dang, it's a good feeling. Let people know that, let you know the people behind what you're doing.
Yeah, it's. I always say it's just like somebody takes something like they're carrying a piece of you that you probably intended to only be for yourself, but you put it out there into the world, and people, they either felt the message, they felt it, or seen the vision, and they adopted it. To me, that's heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's one of the most beautiful things that can happen to a person is somebody takes what's inside your head and basically like adapts it and makes it kind of, I'm gonna say make it their own, but I don't know, man. It's hard to put that feeling out there, man. It's just when somebody takes something that you intended for yourself and just pushes it for themselves. I don't know. It makes me feel good. A lot of people don't like it. They say, well, you're taking my ideas or you're taking something that I meant for me, but I love it. You know, I feel like that's one of the most important things you can do in this world is impact people. You know.
Yeah, for real. I can get behind that message as well. For sure. What do you think your biggest inspiration for your art comes from? I can feel like it's personal to you, so your life story. But outside of that, outside of like, well, what's the outside of you and your story? What would you think is like your biggest inspiration?
Family and friends, man. 'Cause like I said before, like I was saying, I had those low moments. I didn't understand how important family and friends were until I got down to those low moments, and a few people had me. They helped me get back to who I was and stuff like that. So I figured if I'm going to do this for anybody outside of myself, I'd do it for them. And then it was one day where, you know, before I got to my low point, I took all my friends out, and all of them, they were going through things, and I was great at the moment. So like anything, we went out to eat, we went to wherever we wanted to go, and I paid for everything. I said, just get what you want. And that felt so good to me. So I want to be able to do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody around me to need or want for anything, especially if they helped me or impacted me in any way.
Sure.
What about you?
My inspirations are people. I think we get a lot of it wrong every day, and I guess I'm really nobody to say that, but I just picture a world where we learn to live much simpler and healthier, and you only do that with a strong community. And so I think recently that's where my fixation on how to run a business comes from. Just my day-to-day inspiration. Obviously, I got a wife and kid that I love a whole lot, and so they keep me moving. But I suffer from cluster headaches, which is a pretty bad pain diagnosis, to take it lightly. And so I know what it's like to suffer, and I found relief in plants, and I feel like everybody should at least have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you, but I'm here to tell you that it can be for you.
Yeah.
Or at least discuss that option when people don't have, like, Western medications for my diagnoses do nothing. Meaning like pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
right? And so you get pretty desperate, and I know what that desperation feels like. I know what the pain feels like. and I want to help as many people as I can not feel like that.
Yeah.
So that's it gets more contagious with the community behind you.
Yeah.
And so that's my focus, but my driving point would be helping people feel better.
You said how long you been married?
9 years this month.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I always say my most successful friends or the people that are the most genuine people have a significant other, a wife, or partner that they've been with and committed with. You know, I got married and it lasted 2 months. Yeah, but I was with her for 8 years. So, you said that's one of your driving factors. How much of an impact has it had, you know, on what you do?
It's quite literally everything because my wife was one that suggested that I take my desperation to the plants to look for relief. She was able to finance the household while I chase this dream.
Yeah.
So that's a big factor. A lot of people don't have that financial support. You know, me and Warren talk about it quite often. It's like people give up in business too soon, but it's because they have to, because the mortgage is about to go backwards or whatever. Luckily, I could be in a situation of not having to make money while we build out our brand and try to connect with people, because my wife was able to cover that aspect. So, and those are just things like outside of just the general love and wanting to be better for them, right? So,
but those things enhance that, though, right?
Sure. It's like, because I mean, those are obvious for me, and so I start with things that maybe people don't think about, and it credits a lot of the business is. I was trying not to hit the mic. Oh, that was close. All right, so I was saying, there's a lot of factors outside of just like loving my wife and kids that drive me and that's helped me along the process. Like, my wife is a big part of the business, but also she held down the house financials on top of being a role in the company, right? So, I mean, it's a big part of everything is just having them around and knowing that I'm trying to do the right things and live right and try to make a little money. And I don't know, man. Yeah, just want to do good and be a good dad and be a good husband all and a business owner all at the same time. It's hard to balance that, especially sometimes when you're in business with your wife, because business is tough. So as much as it brings to, sometimes there's a little drama there because of what we accomplish every day together is stressful. So
no, I definitely feel it. And I guess the last part is kind of like what I was thinking. Is just like sometimes with everything good, it's always a little bit of not bad, but kind of like it creates another obstacle you got to get through.
Sometimes it's bad, brother. Like,
I didn't want to say bad, but
Well, and not specifically about my marriage here at this point, but I mean we've had struggles as well, but I'm talking about just life in general. Like to be able to know what that good feels like, you got to go through some hard times. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
And then one day I feel like it's easy to forget what that good feels like
when it's so much bad happening.
When you're at that bottom, and I get where people get lost in that. I've been there time and time again, and truthfully, I fight to stay out of that. Right, I use the plants to keep me from going to that point because it's easy to get to, and I think a lot more of us are prone to it than people realize. And you know, to keep from getting there, because again, when you get there, you don't see anything good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just step back, and I know that's so stupid to say because you can't, but if you just step back and be present at the same time, that sounds a little contradicting, but you can really see that there's a lot of good going around you all the time.
Yeah.
But if one bad thought can snowball really quickly.
Yeah, I always say, like, we take all the good stuff and the positive stuff around us, we take it for granted a lot, because it's just like, all right, boom, like the light fixtures. We don't walk into the room and be like, that light's doing its job. That's a great light. We don't do that.
Yeah.
But as soon as it goes out, you notice it,
Right.
and that's all you can focus on. Then we need to get that light fixed. So what I try to do to combat that low point that you're talking about, I just try to look at those things that are going right. I will look at the light fixture now, just speaking hypothetically, but I'll look at the light fixture and be like, damn, it's great that I have that. It's great that I'm able to do these things. Like I think last week I worked probably about 80 hours, and I caught myself saying, damn, I'm working too much. I'm doing too much. But then I started thinking, like, I actually get the opportunity to work this much. I actually get the opportunity to make something better of myself, and I'm doing it for a reason. So what the hell am I complaining about? You know, that's how I combat those things. You know, I grew up, and my mom, she still smokes a lot. My mom smoked every day, and she wasn't herself if she didn't smoke. So that's probably why, like, we didn't grow up in the best conditions. So whenever I think about, like, marijuana and stuff like THC, it just reminded me of what I come from, and I thought that I couldn't be the best version of myself by doing it. So I guess that's one of the reasons I stayed away from it. I didn't smoke or anything until, like, after college.
Now let me ask you this: did you feel the same way about alcohol?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, my whole family drinks. You know, it was one of the things that I felt like kept us where we were, because, like, when we do things to cope, we become, I won't say docile, but that's the only thing we know, and we don't know how to escape that. It's one thing if you're using it to better yourself or to better the situation, but it's another thing if you're using it as a distraction. And for what I seen, and I can't speak for my family, but what I seen was, I felt like most of the time we did it as a distraction from the reality around us. You know?
And it can be a coping tool, the plants, alcohol, whatever. And that's what we try to educate people, is like, you got to, I smoke more than what I encourage people to smoke. And part of it is because I have a really chronic condition, pain condition, that drives me pretty mad if I don't medicate. But we try to educate people on, like, you're smoking in that depression. Okay, are you trying to smoke the depression away? Are you trying to feel more comfortable? Like, explain that to me so we can try to keep you from getting stuck there.
Yeah.
Because when it becomes a coping tool, hey, look, don't get me wrong. You have a bad day, you want to light up, I don't have a problem with that. But, like, if you get caught in that perpetual motion, just like anything else, it's less harmful than other substances, right? But you certainly could not be smoking in the healthiest way, right?
Yeah.
So we try to talk to people all the time, is make sure you're being specific on your strain selection when you're depressed. Make sure you consciously think about how often you're consuming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus, like, just get me through this. Like, strain selection is everything.
Yeah.
You get stuck in a very low spot, but you get a real racy strain. Well, all you're doing is speeding those thoughts up.
Yeah.
And those thoughts are malicious at that point, because when people are down, they only tend to think about those negative thoughts, like we were just talking about.
Do you feel like a lot of people can tell the difference between the strains? Like, yeah.
No. I mean, you talking about do they have the knowledge, or could they tell?
Could they tell? Because for me, like one thing I didn't like about marijuana when I smoked, like my mind is always racing, and that's why sometimes I can't sleep. But I didn't like how it stuck me in a certain spot that I could not get out of, and I don't really care about a lot of the other thoughts that I have when I do that. And sometimes that can be a good thing.
You want me to tell you something crazy? It's because you're doing it wrong. I know that's going to sound crazy for everybody that's listening or that's watching this, but it's because you need to be mindful on those strain selections, but most importantly, intention. We're like, oh, we're just talking about weed here. We have this conversation daily with a lot of people, so if you were going to go eat mushrooms, people would advise you, like, let's set intention, right? Like, make sure you don't go to this scary place. You should do the same thing. Give weed the same respect.
I feel it.
So
you feel like I'm just smoking too much of it when I do it, or?
That could be an issue, for sure. If you microdose, that's a much different experience.
Yeah.
But also, again, strain selection and then just mindfulness about, like, what do you need from the plant at that time. And so if you're, like, just sitting down smoking weed, you're going to probably get stuck right there in that spot. But if you're like, man, I need to be more creative today, I need to get up and start, and you're active and you got the right strain, because, you know, some of those strains will just put you in the couch. But if you're, again, selecting that strain carefully and then making sure you don't overconsume, you don't have to smoke a whole joint.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with a couple bowl hits? And then making sure you're up and active. Then you could be more creative than, you know, you ever thought was possible, and have that focus and energy level without sacrificing those things. But yeah, it's something me and Warren really saw. Like, I knew this was a thing, but when Warren started working with me, him and weed weren't getting along real well, honestly. And we were like, all right, pretty much you can't smoke on the clock, because
it don't work for
just
you.
go. Now I'm telling him, like, all right, bro, we need to go smoke. Let's go have a safety meeting.
Yeah.
Because I know where we're going. Now, sometimes I know, all right, don't even offer it to him.
Yeah.
Because I know where he's at. But then, right now, it's not going to ruin his day, though.
I feel it.
Right, where it used to, it could ruin his day pretty quickly.
Just sit you down.
He's like, just his brain would go to mush and just be like an emotional wreck, honestly, right? It would be a good way to describe it. But
oh, you think too much, or like
weird thoughts too, I think.
Okay.
Like, I already struggle with, like, dissociation and depersonalization.
Yeah.
So, like, it would just put me right the fuck there.
Boom, straight into it. But how do we combat that? I know you're not mic'd up, but I can say it back.
It's literally intention. Like, first off, I realized what setting I would freak out in most of the time, and it's weird because now I can do it there, and it doesn't bother me. Like, if we're high in the car, it's actually better, because then, like, I might say some shit I would have never fucking thought of. That's that idea spot, bro. Is that truck?
And that's what I noticed that was different. So I started thinking it was like personality differences, or maybe the strain. Because I have a friend where, like, he creates like a lot, like I do. However, he gets stuck, and then he started like smoking, and he didn't smoke a lot. He'd just take 1 or 2 or 3 hits, and then his ideas just start rolling. But for me, if I did the same thing, it's over. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel
That's what we're here to educate people on. Because, like, this sounds pretty cocky, but I think I could break that habit. I think I could. I really do. Like, we put us a little challenge with Warren's buddies the other day. A couple of them used to love to smoke, and now can't, because they go straight to paranoid land, and it's a very uncomfortable process for them. So we made a wager. I was like, just bet you I can fix that for you. So
Yeah.
we actually need to set that up, Warren. That'll be fun.
I'll take you up on the challenge, but I think like, what do you do that gives you that? Like,
Especially as an artist, bro. Like, I feel like that's the artist's secret weapon. Like, I'm not trying to encourage you to do something
you
more than
good,
you
man.
don't do
Yeah.
usually, right?
yeah,
But honestly, this is even kind of a weird setting to be medicating because the lighting, like the cameras in your face,
no.
you know. But
I'm used to it, man. So it doesn't bother me at this point. But I think when I create my most memorable or the most creative music that I create, it's when those thoughts are racing. And I was gonna ask is what gives you that feeling? Like, you ever got a feeling where you just like, fuck, this feels amazing, this feels great. What gives you that feeling?
honestly, just business in general. Like, aside from my love life and my family and friends, like, right, we got to cover those. Those are a big part of my life. But
Yeah.
business, I don't slow down. My brain's my brain works like that anyway.
Yeah.
I actually smoke to hit the brakes a little bit. That's one of my biggest intentions, because at the end of the day, my brain hurts because I've just been going back and forth all day with racing thoughts. Like, I create 25 businesses in my head every day and see them all to their failure before I ever even said anything to anybody. You know, all of them failed today.
Yeah.
And maybe that makes me a little crazy, but I still do that when I smoke. Like, it's just it does slow me down a little bit, but anything, dude, anything that I find interest in, like, I could go there, and just. But business is
what gives you that feeling.
yeah.
So whenever I create something, and it's just like it's only with certain songs or certain creations. Whenever I create something that I know is good, it makes me so fucking excited. Like that all the other stuff that I've been through before I got to that point was worth it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's intimidating. It's intimidating to like play with something like even alcohol. I can't create drinking, you know, and I've been drinking since I got to college, but I can't make anything. So that's why I was thinking like maybe it was like kind of like a personality thing or something like that, because anytime I'm under any influence, and stress is an influence too. Like if I'm stressed out, if I'm super stressed out, nothing's coming out. All three of those things, it just does something close to me.
You know what we could do with stress? Combat it with the plants.
The fact, I feel it.
Right, so at least maybe in the stress scenario, you consider. I don't know, man. Call me one day. Let's just go. You got a studio, right?
Yeah. We can figure it out.
Let's just Warren. Let's just go spend some time in the studio and smoke your ass out and watch the idea. I promise you, we could get you motivated.
We'll try it out one day, man. I'll take you up on that offer.
I want to try it. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you guys would. We can plan out a day where we do that. I'm down. I create all the time, man. So anytime I get off work, the first thing I do is go to the studio. If I got time before I came here, I was in the studio. So anytime I'm not actually at my 9 to 5, that's what I do. I create, and I feel like that's my gift to the world is my creations, you know, and being able to impact people. Some people I impact because I create. Other people I impact because I can articulate. So I think the biggest thing I want to do is impact people, you know. And I think everybody has something they can do to impact people, you know. Yours with the plants, you know. Warren, yours might be with the plants and music, you know. I feel like mine's with music, and I feel like a man without purpose is that's when he feels like he's nobody. I feel like that's a man at his lowest point when he doesn't have purpose, you know. So music is mine. You feel like the plants is yours, correct? Or would it be more so business or impacting people?
I mean, all the three of those are the same for me. Like, Yeah, yeah. The mental health is a very big driving point for me and Tatum, both my wife. You know, it's
I feel like we're at a point in society right now where that's become a very, I won't say cliche, but it's just become a talk point for like a lot of different people. And that's why a lot of the times when people talk about it, not saying you specifically, but a lot of times when people talk about mental health, like they only do it because it sounds good. But when it comes down to actually helping people that have mental health problems or actually doing the things that benefit them the most, nobody's really up for that fight. So a lot of times when people talk about it, man, it's hard to take them serious because you'll see.
we on the front lines, brother.
No,
we in the trenches.
I'm not talking about y'all. No, you've been speaking about it the whole time, so I believe you.
Yeah,
you know,
no, my wife's a mental health therapist.
Word.
So I mean that's what she does on the daily.
Yeah.
And the holistic company as a brand is mind, body, soul, and that may sound a little cliche, but like I said, I've been to some dark places, and
But see, you've experienced those things, you know.
I've seen the other side of that, and not that I might not struggle from time to time anymore, but for the most part, I never thought that I would. Let's speak on it as if it's an addiction. I would have never thought I would have been this far in recovery, so to speak. You know, because I'm not there. I don't think any of us ever just get there, but I'm living a lot happier and healthier life today than I was pre-plants. But what really got me is the plants almost got me, weed in particular, almost got me in trouble on my road to recovery because smoking with the wrong intention and not knowing what strains to smoke and then it becoming a coping mechanism and just trying to feel numb, right? And it's like, wait. I'm doing this wrong. And so I started digging, and Tatum is really good at research with her education background. And we just started really trying to consume ourselves with making sure that we were doing things in a healthy way. And then it was really hard because street grass, you got one selection. It's this or nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like, right? So, and we needed to solve that problem for me without packing up and moving because I wasn't going to leave home to go to Colorado for, maybe a little easier lifestyle because we didn't even know at that point that it would be so impactful either. So that wasn't even like something we considered because
it was kind of like a life changer for you, and figuring out what worked for your mental health was kind of what the plants did. And
but it was like learning to ride a bike too, because there was no educational video, so I fell off and broke some legs, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we need people in place to educate people, even like so. Like you, when you're saying, "Hey, this isn't working for me," it's like not to say that you need to be smoking all the time, but let's show you how to use it in a way that it can benefit you through open conversations and dialing in to fit your needs, because I lost track of thought there, bro. I was trying to go full circle back.
No, I feel what you're saying. You're basically saying like, what I took from it was, all right, the weed helped your mental health, and the way it did was figuring out what worked best with it. You had to smoke a lot to figure out what worked, and then you had to smoke a little bit to realize you were smoking too much. Yeah, you played around with it, and you figured out what worked, and you saying maybe I should try to do the same thing.
But now we can shortcut that. That's what I was trying to get back to. So I appreciate it. Is we could shortcut that, not for everybody, but within a couple of weeks of really encouraging him to, like, all right, let's push this uncomfortable factor.
Yeah.
right? Because at first he'd be like, no. We got too much stuff to do. And he was right. We had too much stuff to do. But my brain is going, but you're kind of also an experiment right now, right? And so let's push this. Let's if you're when you're willing,
let's figure out how to
when you're willing, let's put you in that uncomfortable position and really try to break down what's going on, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important to say that I never felt pressured ever.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like you're explaining it like you pressured me to do it, but it really in real life it did not feel like.
Yeah, sure. I never peer pressured you into taking a substance.
Every time I did something, I felt like it was my choice. Like,
Sure. I don't. These things didn't hear you out, so I still feel like. So Warren says disclaimer. He was never pressured into taking substances. It was all by free will, and I should note that to whoever's listening because these mics don't pick up that far. So, although he was sort of a lab rat, it was a volunteer lab rat situation for the greater good of the holistic company clientele.
Yeah.
So thanks, Warren. But because I've have wonderful friends and employees, and sometimes both, that let me push those limits with them and trusted me to kind of make sure that they were gonna. We figured out a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But see, a lot of people don't have your mindset, and that's why I say, like, a lot of people, when they preach about it, they're not willing to do the work. As far as mental health, you had to go through those things. A lot of people don't have the strength to realize, all right, I'm doing this wrong, or they might know they're doing it wrong, and they still choose to make the same mistake because they're not mentally strong enough, or they're not. I won't say mentally strong, but they're just not willing to make the change that they need to make. You know.
Well, I also think people think it's a joke, like, oh, I've been high and paranoid before, so ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Why do we got to make it a joke? Why don't we just try to figure out how to get high without getting paranoid?
Yeah.
Like, instead of just I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I can think it's funny sometimes to witness that, right? Because I've been there, but I threw myself into that over and 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 over until I figured it out for myself. When really, all I needed to do is find a guy that knows what I know now.
Yeah.
And say, all right, show me what I'm doing wrong. But that service certainly wasn't provided.
But a lot of people aren't willing to
Here.
take that route. You know, you wanted to find those answers. A lot of people feel like once they do it, all right, that's what it is, and this is I have to accept it this way. For instance, I think it's February is Men's Mental Health Month, right? And a lot of people were saying men should talk more. Men should talk more. Men should speak up. Men should tell people what they're going through. But also in that same sentence, a man will tell you right now, like, not a lot of people care about what you're going through.
Oh, man, don't tell me that shit, right? Leave that at the house. You
Exactly,
feel me? Like,
man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm a big advocate for what you're saying, too, because I force people to talk. And that's where, so my wife being a talk therapist, like, I've obviously understand that the conversation that you can get out of somebody can be just as healing as the plants can be, or just as healing as anything else. So, although I'm not qualified to be a talk therapist, I certainly believe in that power. Also believe that that certainly your friend cannot be your licensed therapist, but they can be a form of therapy, right? By just clearly being there, listening, and instead of, bro, leave that you and your wife shit at the house. Yeah. I ain't trying to hear it. Well, you know, women have always been really good at getting together and gossiping about their situations where, and maybe that's where I get it from, because I was practically grew up with a bunch of girls, and but no, certainly if men would talk more instead of, you know, oh man, don't give me that shit, or toughen up or whatever.
But what happens when they do, though? I think that's the more difficult part, because the reality of the situation is let's say you go, not you specifically. Let's say a man goes to his wife and he tells her, and I like hearing your situation and your wife, handling certain things, handling certain business, and doing things when you couldn't. Like that. That's so admiring. A lot of people. Period. And I won't even say just women. They don't have that trait anymore. So when you go to somebody and you tell them about your low points and you tell them what you've been through and your struggles you're dealing with, a lot of people they start to judge you and they don't even understand they start to judge you. You know, they just start treating you different. But the true friends, they help you out of those situations and they're there for you and they're not going to let you pity yourself and those things like that. But 90% of the other people that you expose those things to, it has some kind of negative, a negative impact or a negative outcome. Let's say a guy might tell somebody, "Hey, look, I'm low on my rent." He asks a couple people, so that next time they call him, they're not going to pick up the phone for him because they're going to feel like he's going to need something. Those people don't care about your mental health because I feel like if you cared about my mental health, if you didn't have it, you can tell somebody, "All right, I didn't have it, I don't have it, but we're going to figure out a way to do this." You know, uh, but a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll avoid you and they'll start saying, "Hey, well, you're needy. You should figure this out. Life's hard for everybody." And I think a lot of the world treats people like that. Men specifically, they treat men like that, and that's why I say a lot of people don't care about mental health, because how could you care about something that impacts majority of people but never take a step to do anything about it or never actually try to uh, fix the situation? Luckily, I have people. Obviously, you have people in your life that do, but those people are a small proportion of the actual world, man. And that's what I hate about like the topic of mental health is because everybody fake cares. But to somebody like me and yourself, those things matter. And I didn't I didn't realize how much it mattered until I was in a situation where I needed those people and those things. I needed to be heard. I needed to explain myself. I needed to understand myself what I was going through, but I wouldn't be able to understand it had I not talked to other people who cared about mental health.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's any true way to combat it, man, because we're like this much of the world. We're like this much of the world, and when we talk to somebody else and when we share those conversations, it's just like there's so many other people combating you on those things, including men, because men are going to tell you, like you just said, toughen up, leave that shit at home.
So, but you know where that does happen? I hate to take it there. I ain't trying to plug myself, but the holistic company, that shop specifically that you walked into the first time, people drop everything. We hear some crazy shit, bro. Like people open it up. You see some little nerdy white dude playing chess with somebody that was locked up for 6 years, and that's where they picked up the game. You know what I mean? Like, and they having a real conversation. They ain't just sitting there like you see everything, and people are really conversating. You know why? Because they're ass high on that drink.
Yeah.
I mean, that when it comes down to it, they feel safe.
Yeah.
They feel like a good place. They're in a good place. And then they get that drink, and that drink kicks in, and all of a sudden you're kind of forced to want to know a little bit more about the person that you're sitting across from,
And that's why I say, it's obvious that you care because you created a space where people can do that. But how much of the world is a safe space, though? You see what I'm saying? Like, where else? Because a lot of men can't go home and do that shit. A lot of women can't go home and do that. So how much of the rest of the world is a safe space for people to actually express who they are?
So instead of building the spaces, let's build the humans.
Facts. I like that.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty contagious. That could be contagious. Like, I keep hating to referring straight to Warren, but I think Warren 6-8 months ago, it'd be pretty fair to say that it was very minimal people that he cared about in life, right? Like a handful of your friends, not much of yourself, and just being in this atmosphere all the time.
Yeah.
I think you're a pretty 180. Like, you want to help strangers now, but like, but now you're not trapped in your own brain to where.
You don't even think twice about it. It's not like I want to help that stranger. It's like, oh, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, so what you were saying, like, no, that shit doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, but if you can't start somewhere, then I don't want to be a part of that world where you can't start.
I feel that. That's the scary part, though, man. It's just, especially after experiencing things. Like I think you're a stupid person if you can't learn from mistakes. And but also when you do that, when you one that learns from mistakes, it's a big responsibility or a big effect that comes with that, and that's because you know more, you care less, or you're willing to do less because you know what can come with it. So I used to help every homeless person I possibly could, and that's one, not even homeless, just hungry people. But twice that's led to my downfall, you know. And this is what bothered me about it. The first time I was broke. I bought a Burger King burger. No, McDonald's, my fault. It was 2 double cheeseburgers. And a homeless guy came up to me on a bike and he said, "Hey man, I need some money for food. Whatever you have is fine." I just spent my last on it, you know. And I said, "Are you hungry?" He said, "Yeah, I want to get a cheeseburger from McDonald's." And I gave the guy the bag. Because I said, "Man, it's my last, but I can eat something later. I got football practice. They'll give me something." In his situation, it was just like, you would think he'd take it, but he said, "No, I don't want that." And that rubbed me the wrong way. And I think that rubbed me the wrong way because I given my last for somebody who I thought would help better, but it just smacked me in my face. And that happened again and again and again, not with the homeless person, but with friends, because you would give a part of you that you feel like, all right, I'm giving up my time, my effort, my finances to help you out, but it's either not reciprocated or you don't feel like they care about it. And it's not our place to know if they care about it or not because you do stuff from the heart. However, when you're lowering yourself and you're putting yourself in positions that could, you know, possibly hinder you from moving forward.
That's where we got a different outlook, though, because, like, so I've learned if I'm going to do for somebody, I just got to do it because I want to do it.
Yeah, you do it from the heart.
And people are going to take advantage, and some people aren't. And we talk about that on the daily, too. Like, I know who those people are in my life.
Yeah.
And all you could do is be the best version of yourself. And if you're in a situation to help, like, and you feel like it's right. But guess what? These people that are still fairly close to me,
they're going to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I can tell, like, I know who my people are. You know what I mean? So also, if I got in a situation, I know who not to ask.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not gonna help all of them.
No, I feel
they're all my people, right?
Yeah.
But like, I know who the real ones are. I know who the people that are in the position. Also, because some people have the desire to, but they're not qualified.
Yeah.
Their heart might be big enough, but if they're not, you know, again, Warren could have the heart to help your mental health, but if he's too anxious of a person to even start a conversation with you, you get what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's like, it don't mean he's sitting on the sidelines not caring.
Yeah,
it means he's on the sidelines rooting for you, but he's too chicken shit to even start a conversation.
I feel that.
And so that's his problem, right? But it's like, we're all dealing with our own shit, and maybe if we could help Warren with his anxiety, then he could have talked to you, and then now you're not wherever anymore. You know what I mean? And not everybody's qualified to help. And so like I said, I see people's intention a lot of times where I could tell if they had the qualifications, they would help me.
But you also have those people that if they did have the qualifications, they would look past. And I think that's more so what I have the problem with, is that a lot of people, they do have the knowledge and the understanding to be better people, but they choose not to. I think
you surrounded yourself with the wrong people, bro.
It's anytime I see somebody who does fit those narratives, those become my friends. Even if we don't talk every day, I respect them in such a manner that I don't think we could ever have a bad relationship, because you see the world for what it is and you still choose to be a good person. I love those people. I love those people who continue to try to make change. I love the people who continue to try to make a difference, even though they're fighting against odds. You know, it's just that, again, when you go through certain things, it's harder. It becomes harder and harder to be that person. You know, it's a lifestyle like that. You, as much as, like, for me, it's so hard for me to be closed off and a non-caring person because I care so much, you know. But then it's also that part of my brain that says, "Damn, I've been fucked over so many times. Or how many more times can I do this?"
But that's the only reason. That's the only reason I'm the person I am, because of all those hardships. So
The battle that I'm speaking of when I'm saying, like, not a lot of people care. Like, they have the knowledge, they know, but there's so many people that even when they do have the knowledge, to go what you said, they have the knowledge, they have the understanding, they know what to do, but they might not have the courage to do it. And even that's a part of the problem, because a lot of people know the way that certain people are treated or wrong. They know the way that they talk to certain people is wrong, and they still choose to do it because they're scared that either they're going to get looked at funny for thinking the way they think, or they're scared that they're going to become a victim, because a lot of times when you are around something, people associate you with it. You know, let's say me being black, and I said, all right, well, shit, the president, we had a better country under Trump, right? Now people are going to say, I don't like black people. People are going to say, well, you don't like yourself or stuff like that. So they associate you with a whole bunch of negative stuff when you fight for certain things or when you make certain comments. And with the mental health, unless we all start speaking about it, it's never going to matter. Right now, it's just something that people can talk about to get a whole bunch of likes on social media.
you just brought up a whole nother problem, though. Like, why can't you just, if that was your opinion for real, why can't you just have that opinion?
Because when you have certain opinions, people, they don't care what you've done. They don't care what
You ain't got to explain the problem.
Yeah.
I'm saying, why do we tolerate such a thing in a society anyway? Is to like to be judged so hard? Because I know good people from all walks of life, bro. And I think we're losing the community. Like, I think we've all got so sidetracked, lost in our phones, what our version of the world should look like. And I guess maybe I'm guilty of it right here in this moment as well. But if we would just stop and learn to talk to each other and communicate to each other again.
Yeah.
And, 100 years ago, they had to ask, how you feel today, Bill?
Yeah. Nah.
You had to ask them.
We just...
If not, that's like, what we going to do all day?
I mean, but that's the reality we live in now. It's just like, even a lot of people don't know how to have conversation. A lot of people find it
That's
weird
a fact.
when they find it strange when a stranger approaches them trying to have a conversation. A lot of people, they don't understand that. They don't know how to socialize.
That's
man.
a fact. That's a fact.
That's
And
the problem, you know.
It's spread so far outside of even like the cities where that fast-paced lifestyle was. It's spread all the way because of social media. I'm pretty sure like we all walk around with our face in our phones, and we never stop to think. It's like, how should we feel because of this, and this, and then we're told by this, and this, or how we should feel about certain things. And every once in a while we get a home run. Somebody, which is still been controversial lately, but like somebody like Oliver Anthony or something, who's brought all kinds of people together, from different political backgrounds, different races, and all in support of like, some of his lyrics. Yeah. But it most of the time we're so damn divided anymore that we don't find many of those unity moments.
Yeah, it's because of what you said earlier, like why do we judge so hard when people have an opinion, or they should be able to believe what they want to believe? It's because, like you just said, we're so divided, but people still want to feel a part of something. Yeah. So like I always compare it to the Republican Democrat thing, shit. Right? So It ain't no in between now. You're either Republican or you Democrat, because the Republicans say if you don't go Republican, then you basically voting Democrat, and the Democrat said basically if you don't vote Democrat, then you basically voting Republic. So they shame you into being on a side, and when you're a little bit more left or right, they automatically associate you with one or the two. So if you let's say I believed in like what is it? I'm a conservative. Let's say if I had a little bit of conservative views, saying that I believe that a man should take care of all the bills. Now, somebody on the Democratic side might not believe in that, so the first thing they're going to do is associate me with Republicans, no matter what my other views are. That's it. It's either you're 100% this or that. It ain't no in between in today's society.
So what just blew my mind as we were having that conversation, I might struggle. You might cut this anyway because I might not get it out. But like, all right, so we're also divided, right? And we also all don't know how to have conversation anymore. That's more of the trending way of our society now, right? So where do you find comfort on your FYP? Because it learns you, and it's feeding you with what you want, right? That's a scary correlation.
It's feeding you what they think you want.
Well, it is what you want, or else you're not going to stay on it. You're going to scroll past, and then it's going to say, "Oh, let's not give you that anymore." You know, the man doesn't like ballet, so now they're pushing us apart, as well as making you feel like you're a part of something at the same time. And then you feel more a part of your FYP page than you do your neighbor, because you're going to disagree with him about that one thing. Scary, bro. That's it.
The only thing that helped me out of my situation was finding a purpose. I just had to figure out why the fuck I was here. If we can all figure out why we're here, and what, even if it changes, I think you can do great things when you know and you have it. The same thing you say about the plants. You have intention and you know what you're doing and you're doing it right. Nothing fucking beat that feeling or stop you.
That's probably what the whole plants are trying to tell us to start with. It's just like, wait, you want a comfortable experience with me? Set intention. You want a comfortable experience in life? Set intention.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole thing plants are trying to show us. Manifestation.
Society is trying to get us to run the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I'm high. But the first time I had one of these drinks, man, I don't know who the bud tender was. He fucked me up. I said, yeah, give me the weakest one you got. I was high for like 20 hours.
What?
I'm not playing. We went, I think we went to the THGC bar, I think, at like 6, 7. Now, at first I thought it was just going to have me a little bit high. I was playing cornhole. He's an older guy, kind of like comb over.
Yeah, I know he didn't get you too much then. Man, he's anal about things.
Well, maybe I was just weak as fuck. My tolerance.
Well, you about to find out, because that's the same milligrams.
The